Hi, everybody. It's Faye.
And it's the Lockball.
And this is Terminal 234.
Woohoo!
Welcome back for another episode.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back. We're glad that you're here with us.
For sure.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's just another Sunday, another fall day. Well, is it fall yet?
Oh, I don't know if it's officially fall, but it's fall outside.
It feels like fall, yeah.
It's fall outside. If you're not wearing a jacket in the morning, especially, or at night,
yeah,
you're going to freeze to death.
So for the past few days, it's felt like fall. So that's why I'm saying another fall day, another fall feeling day.
It pretty much is. I mean,
yeah.
I went to play soccer today and it was like 50 degrees.
Sheesh.
Yeah, but it's okay. 50 is actually not bad when you're doing something like
active.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually probably better. Cools you down.
It is better than 90 degrees. 90 degrees, you are like sweating before you even do anything. Like you're just standing outside and you're sweating and someone's like, oh, like you're having a good workout, huh? It's like, no, I haven't done anything yet. Like this is the prep. But
speaking of, working out, athleticism, fitness, all that, we might as well get into our first topic for the day.
Yeah. So as you guys probably know, and if you don't know, you should know.
You should know for
sure. But we're fans of the NBA because the NBA is like the best league in the world.
Honestly, the best league, period.
Yeah, professional sports league. So yeah, the big news that had everyone going crazy, had Twitter in a frenzy, was the Los Angeles Clippers losing.
Yeah.
Not even in the Western Conference Finals. Like losing before that. Yeah, a huge surprise, a huge upset. From the standpoint of like big
upset.
I mean, it's a huge upset in the standpoint of the hype. But if you actually know like NBA, like the Nuggets are pretty much on schedule. Like this is what they've been building towards. You know what I mean? Like they're not like a small team.
For sure, it's not like they lost to, I don't know, OKC or something.
Yeah.
So it's not like I guess
it's not the biggest upset in the world. Like when you look back, even though right now in the moment it feels like it, I think in 10, 20 years when they look back at the biggest upsets, it won't be on the list.
I think what makes it a huge upset is that they deprived us of the two LA teams going
Los Angeles
against each other in the finals. Yeah, it was supposed to be the Lakers versus the Clippers, and not seeing that happen is quite unsatisfying. Especially because outside of that, like the Clippers were the favorites, honestly, to maybe win the Western Conference.
They were, but it just kind of goes back to show you like it happens in sports all the time, but we always fall for it. Where it's like you can't just take a bunch of random good people and say, hey, go do it together. Like that whole together part matters. Like chemistry is huge
for sure
in sports, in all sports really. Basketball sometimes, like, yes, because it's only 5 players on the court, it might matter less than like in soccer or like American football or something, but it still matters. Like,
that chemistry is definitely very important.
And it was very telling that like the Nuggets actually have been playing together. Like all the key players have played together for a couple of years. They know exactly what they want to do. And for what it's worth, the Nuggets are like very battle tested. Like they're actually very used to going to game 7s. Like that's like always do it.
The series prior to the ones against the Clippers, they had just done the same thing pretty much and came back from like a 3-1 deficit
even
to
last
win
playoffs,
a game 7.
They lost a game 7 to the Blazers. Like they were that close. Yeah, I think
super close.
If I want to say it was last season, but if not last season, the season before, their last game of the season, they had to win to get in the playoffs, or they had like a play-in game.
It was like a do or die type situation.
Yeah, they had a play-in game, so they've done this. Like they, as much as they're a young team, like they've done this whole like you need to win.
Clearly, they do well under pressure. Yeah,
they
do really well under pressure.
They do. I mean, it's just people handle pressure differently. And a little bit sad for Paul George. I used to be a bigger fan than I am now, but just I hate when one person kind of like starts getting a lot of blame.
Takes the brunt of the
because now it's starting to look like, okay, Paul George. Like I remember when, what was it, last season, or maybe 2 seasons ago, playoff P. Like he was derided so much for that, and like it can't go away. Like people won't let him live it down.
Well, because like if you look at the stats of his performance in elimination games, which a lot of that was circulating after they lost to the Nuggets, it's just that he doesn't show up when it counts. And unfortunately with sports, your status lives and dies by your last game. Like,
of course.
So like the games where he was doing amazing, everybody was talking about Paul George in the sense that you would expect people to talk about Paul George. But the moment you do poorly, like Kawhi became a laughingstock in a matter of seconds. Like, it's actually crazy. Same thing with like even a prior series where the Rockets lost to, or almost lost to, OKC. Like Harden was being laughed out the room basically on Twitter. And then the moment he, does a really good block, everybody is talking about how Harden is this god of
that's
a player.
That's just
happen. How sports go.
Yeah, that's how sports is. Yeah. That's how sports banter is. It's like, it's a lot of overreaction. Yeah. Like you said, it's the last thing you do that like matters. Yeah. So if you do everything, it could be LeBron. If LeBron loses in the finals, they're going to laugh at LeBron on Twitter, and they're going to tell you how LeBron should never ever be compared to Michael Jordan. Don't even compare him to
That's
Kobe.
How they were talking about Kawhi.
That's literally what
never talk about Kawhi in the same breath as James ever again. Yeah. And it's like, okay, just give it like another season and let's see what they're saying. You know?
It's a fun place to be, Twitter, when these things happen. But real quick before we get off the NBA, who do you think is gonna win the shit?
I think Lakers will win. But I think more interesting is to talk about who's going to win between Miami and the Celtics. Because prior to yesterday's game where the Celtics finally got a win, we were thinking, Miami might just take this one.
I'm a believer in Miami. I was a believer in them as soon as the whole bubble thing was confirmed. Because I'm like, this is set up perfectly for them. They're just that kind of team. Like, it's hard to describe to someone that doesn't watch basketball or sports. But it's like, they're just the kind of team that when stuff goes bad, they do better. Yeah. They're better when they have to play. They can't see their families.
They rise to the pressure of it all.
Because they're unbothered by anything. They're kind of like the Nuggets in a way. Yeah. But that's just what they are. So to me, I'm it's set up perfectly, and they've been actually performing really well. So I have the Heat winning. I said yesterday I have them in 5. That sounds kind of rude. So probably 6.
I have them in 6. And for me and my family, the Heat is the team. Well, okay, my dad, Lakers is the team, but my siblings, they love the Heat. Heat is their favorite franchise. For me, I don't have a favorite team, but I do have an affinity for the Heat because outside of just how well they perform in times like this, even when they're not on the radar, as a playoff contender or whatever, they're just a well-oiled machine. Pat Riley is one of the best there is in the game at what he does. So I just do love the Heat, and I feel like their efforts are always there, and where they are now is very well deserved. Nothing is ever easily given to them, and they're 10-1 or something like that when it comes to their playoffs.
They're ridiculous. And it just kind of goes back to the whole talking about the Miami Heat. It's organizational culture, right? A lot of corporate America, they strive for it. You hear about it all the time. They're kind of an example of having that, having a culture. So that they know who comes in. You don't come in if you're not going to fit their culture. Right. If you come in, you're going to fit their culture, or you're not going to be there long. It makes sense. Right. And that's why they can sustain what they're doing at a high level over different iterations of the team.
For sure. I love that team. I really do. So I hope they win, honestly. I'm rooting for them to win the Eastern Conference. But when it comes to the playoffs, championships, I do think Lakers are going to take it.
Yeah, I think the Lakers should win it. I'm just a little scared because I'm a Lakers fan. So, I'm going to be a little scared. Always. But the Lakers really should win it. Honestly, I thought the Lakers would beat the Clippers. I wasn't even worried about them.
Oh, really?
The Clippers are the thing with the Clippers is they're good, but no chemistry. Zero chemistry. The Lakers actually have chemistry because half the team was there last year. Even if they were bad, they were still there. And LeBron is on a mission. Anthony Davis is very good as your second best player. It's actually unfair for him to be he's one of those guys he's not good enough as a 1 to me, but as a 2 incredible.
Yeah, incredible. So I see what you mean.
Yeah, we'll see. Other big news, sad news. Our girl RBG, that's what they call her in the streets.
Notorious RBG.
Yes. She passed away, so rest in peace to her. Prayers and thoughts to her family. I want to misquote her age, so I'm never gonna say that. I'm about to say 98, but that might be 87. Yeah, she was old.
98 is a lot.
I apologize. But she passed away. A lot of huge ramifications for our nation, no?
Yeah, super consequential death. It's so devastating, guys. For me personally, if you listen to last week's episode, you know how I feel when it comes to politics. I'm quite unapologetic about who I support and why. And RBG is obviously a juggernaut when it comes to politics in general. Actually, I wouldn't say that because justices aren't supposed to be political. But she was appointed by Bill Clinton. So she definitely is liberal leaning. She's one of those votes that you expect from the liberal side. So with that in mind, if you are a Democrat, you are a huge supporter of RBG. But even if you're not, you just respect the woman immensely because she did so much for gender equality. Like, even if she was never a Supreme Court justice, she would have gone down in the history books as somebody to be super admirable. So I definitely find this to be a huge loss. But outside of like my personal affinity for her, like, the balance of the court is quite lopsided if Donald Trump is able to appoint her replacement. Like, unfortunately, that's how the justice system works in America. Like,
what's the numbers right now? Like,
right now, I think it's 5-4.
Okay, yeah.
5 conservatives, 4 liberals.
So it would be 6.
So it would literally be super unbalanced because right now 5-4 is already unbalanced, but there's usually one judge on one side or the other. I would say more on the conservative side that dissents, meaning they vote
break from party lines.
Break away from party lines, exactly, because that's what they're supposed to do anyway. They're supposed to be unbiased. And so far, like, with all the major consequential decisions of these past few months, somebody has dissented from the conservative side.
That's what I was about to say. I feel like, even though I'm not hugely political, I feel like that's one of the things that I have heard is, like, as much as it was a huge deal that, like, it became 5-4, it hasn't actually played out as bad as people were thinking, but it could
now
change
if it's
lifetime.
6-3, it could change because it's lifetime. And not if it becomes 6-3, like, things like women's rights to choose would be a huge, like, loss for liberals or people that fall on the Democratic side of things, because it's just gonna be an inevitable win for the conservatives. Same with, like, immigration rights or just rights that you would think of as more liberal leaning. A lot of those are going to be in jeopardy, honestly, with the court system being how it might be. So we'll see. The thing that everybody is talking about, though, is right before Obama left, not even right before, honestly, it was like a year before he left, he had an opening to fill and they blocked it. Mitch McConnell, the head of the Senate, blocked it and did not let Garland get through. And they didn't even let him get a vote, meaning Obama appointed him or nominated him, and he wasn't voted upon. So they were saying, oh, let the American people choose their president because that will tell us everything we need to know.
What they want.
Now, 47 days out from an election, Mitch McConnell is like, yeah, I'll let them vote. Like, let's do it.
I literally just saw Trump said like, we're gonna have someone appointed in a week. Like,
what the actual fuck, guys? Like, I mean, we all know politicians are hypocritical on both sides, honestly.
Yeah.
But this one is blatant. Like, Lindsey Graham, which is a huge Republican senator, literally said maybe 2 years ago, if there is something like this to happen within the last year, like during primary seasons and beyond, I'm not going to feel comfortable voting. And now he's saying something very different or singing a very different tune. Yeah. So with that said, we'll see what happens. But honestly, I just hope the hypocrisy doesn't win. And we'll see. Like, honestly, we'll just have to see. But I'm scared. I'm not going to lie, I'm scared.
I would say, everyone, don't be so scared. I know it's scary because it can happen. There's nothing we can do about it. But it's one of those things. And it's politics as usual to me, right? Like, it just... Listen, someone has to win, someone has to lose. That's literally
I agree,
politics.
But I think the reason why this one is so scary is because, like, I think when the decisions that the Supreme Court makes doesn't really affect you directly, you're not as worried. But when you are a minority, and I know you're Black, obviously, but when you're in a minority in ways that are still debated upon so heavily today, like, now it's almost expected that women can work. That wasn't always the case. Now it's expected that Black men can vote. That wasn't always the case. And that's what immigrants are going through right now, where 20 years from now, hopefully we're going to be like, I can't believe we were even debating that before, like certain immigration rights or things about like a woman being able to choose. Like, things like that are very, very consequential to humans. Yeah. And they have very massive rippling effects for generations to come. So I'm definitely worried in that sense because some of these decisions could directly affect me and people I love. And I can't just see it as politics as usual in this particular case.
I know what you mean. I'm not telling you not to be worried. It's almost kind of like, what can you do?
I know, though, yeah.
That's,
what you can do out there, guys, is vote. Yes. Honestly, you can start being a little bit more involved in the political conversation and process. If you aren't now, just at least talk about it with people that you know that are very knowledgeable in it. Look things up, research, and then get involved how you can, because imagine 2016, this was something we were supposed to be voting based on, like whether or not we want Donald Trump to be choosing the justices that will.
I mean, it goes down to understanding all the responsibilities
that
are involved in.
And people didn't care then, so we don't want them to not care now because, as you can see, it has huge ramifications.
It matters. It all matters. Yeah. And like you said, this is one of the few places where like it's super permanent as much as nothing can be really permanent because they're there for life. There's no let's think about it in the year. Like, and they can do whatever they want in this country. They can do anything they want. They'll still be there. So
honestly, guys, just think about that. Deep that for a second.
Yeah. Someone that's not always going to be there, or as far as we know, not going to be there anymore, is Offset in Cardi B's life, at least as her husband.
Yeah.
Because apparently Cardi B is filing for divorce.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're saying in the streets.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Apparently she filed for divorce and the filings were made public. My thoughts are I hate to be that person, but I guess it's inevitable. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm always excited for anybody that is happy for their lives and where it's going. Like when she was getting married, if she was happy about it, I'm happy for her. But at the same time, I was that person in the back of my mind. I would never say it out loud, but in the back of my mind, like, I don't know how long this is going to last because the foundation of their marriage was kind of shaky.
Yeah.
They had a lot of public
strife
exactly, and conflict, and unfortunately I think that probably has found its way into their marriage. But I mean, that's all I can say without making assumptions or
exactly. And projecting. I think whenever you talk about other people like in this situation, like you have to assume stuff because you don't know. And of course, apologies for anything we assume that's wrong. Like we don't know. We're just talking because it's something to talk about. And it has, as much as like it doesn't affect our lives, like sometimes what you see affects how people live. You know, it's just, it's good to discuss because I always wonder, how do you get there, right? Like how do you go from being happy to not being happy together and so much of that. So it is sad for both of them. I hope that they're happy afterwards. I hope that it's the right decision. A divorce can be ugly, but a lot of times it can also work out really well for everyone involved. I don't know if kids always feel that way, but I know for sure the parents can, like, their divorced parents are like, we're cool, we're friends, and we co-parent, and we go on family vacation trips together. Like, that stuff be mad weird to me, but it does happen, and
it does.
Sometimes, I'm sure the kids probably miss out on some stuff, like not just having both your parents in the same house, but sometimes they have 4 parents, and life is good.
I mean, something that you just said is, like, it's always just confusing and weird. Like, how is it that you seemed happy and you wanted to get married like a matter of like 36 months ago, which in the grand scheme of things is not that long ago, and you were like on a high, and then all of a sudden that just isn't a thing anymore. It's just as somebody who isn't married, as somebody who's not, in a super long-term relationship, I guess that confuses me to no end. And maybe it's one of those things that until you experience it yourself, you can never really conceptualize.
I think definitely is. And I also think that as much as like everything is perspective, right? So like you just said, 36 months is not that long, but 36 months is
in a marriage, I'm sure it feels like
36
forever.
Months in anything. Like 3 years ago, can you think back to 3 years ago? What were you doing? Like your life is probably mad different, and not in every way, but in a lot of significant ways. 3 years ago, there was no Terminal 234. Like there was so, like, you know what I'm saying?
I guess for me too, it depends on the person, so like much. You said. So like for me, 3 years ago really doesn't look that different, but for somebody else who
a lot of things can happen.
Wasn't married 3 years ago and is now, I'm sure that feels like didn't have a kid 3 years ago and does now. Like that is huge shifts in your life. So you're right. A lot can happen in 3 years. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, as somebody who isn't in those shoes,
of course,
it's like how is it that your feelings are like literally on a high to the point where you've committed to someone for life, for eternity, to I want nothing to do with you in like a marital sense.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. Like,
no, it's definitely something that interesting. Something that no one has a good, let me not say no one, but a lot of people don't have a good grasp on because it continues to happen. I'm not a statistician, but I believe divorce rates are still high, if not climbing still.
Yeah.
So we're all struggling to figure it out. Like we're all in a place of like, hey, why can't we find the right person? Or why do we think we have the right person? And then it's not the right situation. Like, why? Mad whys. And, Cardi B and Offset just proved to not be so different from the rest of us, and that they're still trying to figure it out too. And
this is definitely something I want to explore more with, like, you know, other perspectives as well as ours, of course, but others who might be married or just have a different viewpoint on how the whole marriage thing works.
I think it would be really cool if we could, and I'm sure we could. We just have to convince someone. But I would love to talk to someone that's been in a long-term marriage, because sometimes, like, we can talk about it as much as we want, but like, we're still on the outside. Even someone that's our age, like, they're still like you said, 3 years in.
Or so even outside of someone who is married, like someone who maybe has no intention of getting married or isn't really that, like, it's like I could take it or leave it. Whereas I think both of us were like hoping that happens for ourselves in the future. I would love to hear a perspective like, here's how I feel about marriage, and it's very different.
I mean, of course, of course, it would be good to talk about it on so many things, because like you said, it's very interesting and there's a lot to digest.
So shall we talk about maybe our tunes of the week?
Yeah. Are you ready? Because you brought it up. You must.
I'm actually not at all.
I have a song queued up.
I'm not at all, so you go first.
Oh man, I just got a text. It says, "Hi, my sister. This is my sister's name. Hi, Doing. Okay. I'm John, a volunteer with the Democrats. I'm not even doing.
I got one of those for my sister actually, and I was like, "Why are you hitting me up? I'm not X person." That's so funny.
Oh yeah, song of the week. Let me see. So I got a lot of new songs yesterday, actually, because
apparently a lot of songs came out this past weekend.
Yeah, a lot of songs everywhere. Damn, I don't know what song I want to use. Oh, okay.
You can do a few. You can pull up me and do a few.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I don't do that. I follow the rules. Okay. So this is a song that I just got put onto because this is not. I mean, I keep saying this is not my genre of music, but like I keep going more and more into it, so maybe it's becoming my genre of music. But it's Victoria Monet. It's a song called Dive. Have you heard of it? Or heard it?
Is it on her recent album?
Yeah, Jaguar.
Yeah, I think that's one of my faves. You know how it is with albums. You don't always know the name of the song. Yeah. But I definitely shouted out Jaguar as a album. You? Yeah, the album itself, not just the song.
Yeah.
I think it was during like the kind of live ish episode. Okay. Yeah, I was like, Jaguar is that album. I really, really, really like that album. So go ahead though, choose that and tell us why.
Yeah, no, I just it's a really good song. So actually what happened, I want to say I was in Cali with my girlfriend and we saw a poster of her and I was like, she was excited and I was like, I don't know who Victoria Monet, like I don't know that. So she made me listen to her songs and it's hard to make me listen to a song immediately and make me like it. Yeah. Because I'm just going to be like, it's okay. Like, it's not bad, but I'm not like, it's rare. It's hard to get someone to listen to a song and be like, this is the best song I've ever heard. Yeah. But I added it to my playlist of songs that I'm going to review because I reviewed the music. And yes, Dive was just one of the songs that came up this week. And I was like, oh, damn, I like this song. And I heard it a couple times in her car. So, I think
Victoria's claim to fame, at least for me, the way I know her is that she wrote a lot for Ariana Grande. She probably still does. Like, she's just one of Ariana's big collaborators. They're really good friends. And, they make a lot of music together. So that's how I got introduced to her. And then I started listening to some of her solo stuff. This particular project that she most recently released is the one that, like, finally bit me. Like, prior to that, I was like, okay, some of them are good here and there. But this one was a really, really good, well done project. So I'll second your shout out because I really don't have one. What I can shout out though is I've gotten through like 4 years of television in like a week with Girlfriends. I've watched just so many episodes.
You never watched that before? Or just
no, I have. I'm rewatching. Okay. When I watched it the first time, I was definitely a teen and could barely relate.
You didn't understand what was happening.
I mean, I definitely could, but it's different. But it's different. A different connection. Yeah. I can relate so much more. Yeah. Like, there's characters I'm like, oh, I would do that. I wouldn't do that. That's me. That's not me, Yeah. So, yeah, I've joined that bandwagon with everybody else. Is it on Netflix
or how are you watching it?
Yeah, because, Netflix recently acquired a bunch of black sitcoms.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know which ones. Yeah. I just, the big ones was Moesha,
Sister, yeah, Parker's. But this is one of them. And, oh, my God, I love that show. I'm reminded every episode. I'm like, wow. This is a show I used to love and I still love it. And it honestly, Girlfriends walked so Insecure could run. Like if you like Insecure, it's a very good show. If you like Insecure, you'll love Girlfriends and you will see, why it has so much hype behind it. But I'm like on season 4 already and I just started. So that'll be my tune of the week. That's not a tune.
Wait, no, like I thought you were just saying that randomly while you were thinking about what you're gonna say.
I really can't think of anything. I'm sorry, guys.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Sorry.
We'll
You can play the girlfriend's theme song as my tune of the week, which I do love the theme song.
Alright, we'll see.